Hello and welcome to the Living by Numbers podcast. My name is Kirsten Foss and I'm really glad that you are here. So, this is February's forecast. February, we're in a three energy, universal energy month, all of us on the planet. So, this energy is all about self expression, it's about emotional expression, and it's actually about practicing what we have already learned. So this is a three energy month within a one energy or 10 energy year. Now, if that sounds like a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo for you, I want you to go back, put this on pause, and go to the January 2026 forecast. That explains the 10 energy of 2026. So that you have a much broader understanding of how to use the monthly energies. But I digress. What we want to be diving into this month is the fact that energy, being that self-expression, that emotional expression energy, it means that it is, and also it's the practice, what we've learned thing. This is the month in 2026 that we say the thing and we create the thing. All right, so we do have to do just a quick little debrief of what happened last year because it set us up beautifully for us this year. And last year, what all of 2025 was a year nine, which was energy that was all about closing cycles, completing energetic patterns. And so you probably experienced something, some major theme for you wrapped up in 2025, and you actually may be still experiencing a little bit of that lingering stuff of cleanup or push to let go of things that you haven't let go of quite yet. But it was purposeful because in in order to for us to create, it means we also have to let go of things that don't work for us anymore. As humans, we tend to kind of want to like put everything in a sack and carry it over our shoulder and take everything, all the experiences with us and maybe not really learning for them and realizing that when we learn from them, we can let some of that heaviness go. So if you're listening to this now and the first time you're hearing the fact that 2025 was about letting go and completion, and you've been feeling awfully heavy about things that you've been dragging along that you have a sneaking suspicion should be time to go, then this is your flag in the play again to go back to that January forecast to hear about how last year really set you up to succeed this year, but it meant letting go. So, you would have seen it in all aspects of your life. You would have seen it in relationships that if they weren't healthy, they were going to be in your face. Career paths, if it wasn't the right in alignment career path, somehow it just something happened and it's not happening for you anymore. And another big theme was personal identity. You can't go through these major cycles in life and not learn a few things about yourself. So, it would have 2025 likely felt like it was a lot. The nine energy of releasing, letting go, forgiveness can feel very heavy, but it's for the purpose of healing. It means that you have completed a cycle, that you have healed a cycle if you've been doing your work and actively looking at your patterns, or even if you haven't, it hasn't been so active, but you're really noticing some patterns. So at the beginning of this year, so January into February, you may still feel a little bit of this shedding layer happening. Just because January 1st hits doesn't mean that like, okay, we're done letting go of things. No, no, no. It doesn't work quite that way. The other thing that's really interesting is that there's also this um, layering effect of other modalities. Like when we look at the Chinese astrology, we have been in a year of the snake up until February 17th, but we're in this building phase where we are going to be moving into the year of the horse after on February 17th. So what I find fascinating about it is that it is mimicking the same energies that we see happening and going to be happening for 2026. So what that tells me is that when there's some really strong clues like that, yeah, we can expect that 2026 is going to be an energy of moving forward. It's going to be the energy of probably moving quickly. So when you think about getting on a horse, I don't have a huge amount of experience riding horses, but I know when I've gone on a horse, it is thrilling and it can be really fun, but it is also freaking terrifying at times. You can sometimes feel like you're out of control. But that all of that is to say, it's just more of a metaphor about, what we're going to be feeling each month as we move through these different energies each month, how we're going to be feeling, and to not be so panicked about when it feels like it might be a little bit much. But this 2026, like we learned a whole cycle at the end of 2025. So 2026 isn't about fixing anymore. 2026 is about doing, it's about embodying what you learned. And if you listen to the January forecast, 2026 forecast, you would also hear me talk about its apprentice energy, its new agreement energy. So, um, all of that to say that that energy, this one energy is holding us all year long as we go through each of the months and experience the different energetics. Like as far as January was a two energy month. Now we've moved into a three-month energy month of February. So now, when we think about, I want to say one more thing about this one energy, because, and I want to just touch back a little bit on January. I always like to look back on the month, debrief it before we, hit the jets on the next month, the upcoming month, because I find it really powerful and really empowering to kind of look at a forecast, to look at my own notes, to have an idea about what energy is available to me in the upcoming month. But it's also really powerful to look back and see what was aligned and what wasn't. And a lot of times I get a lot of light bulb moments. So January 2026 was, we started the year in a two energy month. And two energy is about connection, collaboration, and intuition, because intuition is the connection and collaboration with yourself in your higher self. This two energy, because it's about relationships, it likely showed you a lot of mirroring. Okay. And with mirroring, and what I mean by mirroring, if you don't understand mirroring in relationships, go look it up online. But essentially, all relationships will mirror back to us our own thoughts and beliefs, and perspectives. And so that's why being in relationships are they're not, they can be really challenging at times, because they are going to reflect back to us where we need to heal. So January, we started this year out with relationships, with looking at the mirror, like what was bugging you about other people, or the kind of more of the intimate relationships that you've got in your life. If whatever was bothering you and getting at you and irritable, that's the mirror back. Like, what is it about myself that I could be kind of looking at that kind of thing rather than projecting it? And when we look at our relationships like mirrors, and we can, have that awareness, gives us a great deal of emotional insight, so that we're not playing the victim as we roll along with and life's curveballs when they come up. So the other thing you might have heard me talk about with odd numbers, is that odd numbers, even numbers are more action oriented. Even numbers are a little bit more of a pause. So we were still in a one energy year for January, but that two energy relationship energy was just a little bit of a pause. But it was enough of a little boost to make sure we are doing our work, make sure that we are being self-aware, that we're not just making assumptions about ABC. So in January, you would have noticed relationship dynamics, and that, quite frankly, probably the dynamics that you are done with and can't do anymore. You would have likely have seen some of those emotional patterns that, whether it's you still having those emotional patterns or the person that you're in relationship with. But above all, it that one energy behind the relationship of the two was pushing us to take personal responsibility in our relationships. So January showed us what needs to change in those situations. Now, February is asking us to do something about that awareness. All right. And what I can distill February down to for us is because we've had the awareness and now we're ready to take action, February is the month to say the thing. You know, the thing that you haven't been saying, the thing that maybe just been looping in your head. You've been wanting to say it, but you haven't been saying it because maybe you didn't want to rock the boat or you didn't know how, where to go for the next step, or you didn't even know, like, it just felt like, something too big. That's all done now. You know what you want. It's time to say the thing. This month is a big emotional expression month. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable to express your emotions, this is the gift. That you may have heard the term the obstacle is the way. And it as much as I freaking hated that when I first heard it, like I really was upset when I heard that phrase. And but yet I've thought a lot about it over the past probably 5 years since I've heard it. And I've realized more and more that it is simply true. Whatever the obstacle is that feels like it is big and heavy and dark and can't, like you can't see through it, you can't get to the other side. Whatever conflict is in front of that, that is literally the way. So, unfortunately, dang it, here we are. But I want you to know it doesn't have to feel heavy to be able to say the thing because you've done your work. You have some tools, and I'm going to remind you of what those tools are in just a few minutes. So, February, because it's the month of emotional expression, and it just happens to go along with, the commercialized Valentine's version of things. Um, it's just kind of funny that way, but we're here with this energy kind of again giving us clues into kind of where we can be putting our positive flip on things. So February is say the thing. It also is create the thing because again, you've been wanting to create a different life for you. Maybe it's a different lifestyle, maybe it's a different career, maybe it's a different relationship or an improved relationship or whatever it is. You've been wanting it for a long time. You've done the work. Now it's time to embody it. So it's time to create the thing. Now, for those of you that automatically, if you hear anything about creative, you like shut down because you don't think you're creative. I want to remind you that if you have a strategic mind, if you're one of those people that love to like come up with ideas for things, and maybe it's with business, maybe it's within a corporate environment or maybe it's in a nonprofit environment. But if you like coming up and brainstorming with ideas and getting creative that way, that is still high creativity. So this is that word creative. Sometimes people tend to pigeonhole themselves. And I want to give you a few more examples a little bit later about creative things for those of you that don't think you are creative. But February, this emotional expression, creative expression is high, high, high energy available to all of us. And the other piece that goes with this is say the thing, create the thing from a nurturing place, from a place that nurtures you, from a place that brings you joy, and most importantly, from a place that you feel aligned with. All right, let's dive into this say the thing because I want to split this up so that you aren't just kind of mushing it, say the thing, create the thing, and then getting overwhelmed with it because that's a very three energy thing. So I'm going to break it down for us. The first thing we're going to talk about is say the thing. So, three energy is about self expression and emotional expression. If that's all you remember about three energy, keep it, okay? And just keep it rolling throughout your head emotional expression, self expression. Now, when it comes to personal growth and development, February is asking us, what have you been holding back? And what truth has not been fully spoken yet? I know it's in there. And because I know it's in there, and I've got those questions to ask for myself. And it's because we may not have said the thing before because it didn't feel safe. We didn't, maybe we're really unsure about what the outcome was because for a lot of us, we're, hyper organizers and especially for those of us that have been in caregiving professions our whole entire adult lives, we're used to controlling things and controlling the outcome and seeing a plan and executing a plan for that and having knowing the steps to take care of a person or to give a service. So if you can't see how something's going to turn out, it's really easy to not say anything about it, right? Um, the other thing about it, you may not have said the thing, is because you may not have been able to like something was off about it, or you didn't quite know how to articulate it. So maybe it was just pre-verbal, and it wasn't ready to say the thing. What is important to know about saying the thing, whatever the thing is for you? And again, this could be about self, your own personal identity, could be about relationships, it could be about your career, it could be about your retirement, it could be about um, it could be anything about if you have a business, if you're an entrepreneur, it could be anything within it. But I know you, when you're listening to this, I know that something is ringing a bell that you've been, kind of holding back, not saying. And I want you to remember, this is the most important piece of this. I want you to remember about saying the thing is that it's not going to feel comfortable yet. It's not going to feel natural. And that might flag you to feel like, oh, I'm not ready to say the thing yet. But I want to assure you that it's still time to say the right thing, even if it's awkward, even if it's not perfect. Because, like, overthinking is part of the three energy low. So whenever we overthink, we can just say, oh, that three energy low. There I am again. Okay, I'm shifting over. The thing about emotional expression, and a lot of, I know plenty of us have, I've been learning to be more emotionally expressive. And it's harder to do that also, when we're learning new aspects of ourselves. But here's the thing. Like I said, for 2026, we're in apprenticeship energy, this 10 energy, this one energy, this kind of, it's not exactly a fresh start, new beginning. We just graduated, we've up leveled. And so when we are in graduation energy, it is exciting, but we still have things to learn. We still have the life ahead. And so, yeah, you're back to feeling a bit like the student, feeling a bit like the apprentice. But you're not the student in terms of like, you got to learn more stuff. You've already learned it. In the past 9 years, you learned it. You are not the student anymore. You're the apprentice. You are practicing. So be gentle with yourself. And this is where you can do some of that inner child work. Um, I also was looking at, other places where there is numerology. And one of the most obvious places is in the tarot deck. And when we look at the major arcana 3, the Empress card, it's a 3 energy. And so this is where I want you to also look at the 3 energy as nurturing energy. So remember when I said whatever the say it and create it thing is, it has to be done, like it has to nurture you, not deplete you. And this is where, again, that 3 energy comes in as a bit of the mama, the empress. In some of the cards, tarot cards, she's depicted as having a big pregnant belly, like of the world, and looking down kind of lovingly at it. And so when you are in these times of practice, especially this month of saying the thing, and you feel uncomfortable, be your own mama. Give that empress energy to yourself. So that gentle reassurance, the encouragement, not the pressure, the sweetness. Think of how you would treat little you. You wouldn't be like, oh, you're so dumb. You're so, how could you think that? And ugh, you can't do that. No. You'd sit down with that little 3 or 4 year old and go, you can do it. It's okay. I'm here for you. This is safe, and I'm here to listen. You would listen to her. So give that nurturing to yourself. Might again, it might feel uncomfortable, but that's part of this medicine. All right, let's switch over to the second part of this February energy of self-expression is create the thing. And it's very different than from say the thing because they don't have to be connected. We can be talking about two different things here. One can be about relationships, another thing could be about personal development or career. Okay. So emotional expression and creative expression can show up very differently and they can show up, in different sections. All right, here's where I wanted to make the note. For those of you that do not consider yourself a creative, creativity is not just about making art. Creativity is the strategic brain in action. So if you again like thinking, coming up with ideas, um, brainstorming with people, like you don't have to like to craft to be a wonderful creative. I've seen many, many, many entrepreneurs that are massively creative, have insanely creative brains for their business. And like if you ask them to do, like crocheting, they'd be like, no, 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 I cannot, I could never do that. So I want to be really clear that creativity is not about arts and crafts and painting, okay? So I want to give you some ideas about what this could look like if you don't consider yourself a creative person. So creativity shows up when you solve problems, when you organize ideas or design a better way of doing something, okay? Even like a small act of like reorganizing your space. I loved doing that when I was a teenager. I loved reorganizing my bedroom. Or it was, when I was bored because it was something creative to do. Um, you could write an email a little bit, kind of just take a little bit more time and put a little bit more flair into it. Or maybe even planning a brand new routine for yourself. So, those are all creative acts. This is, if you're non-creative, think about it as just trying new things, experimenting, playing with ideas. So, as an entrepreneur, this, when I was working a lot with businesses, small businesses in the beauty and wellness space, this was an energy that I always took advantage of for them um, about getting onto social media, doing more, getting back onto their email marketing, getting back into communicating their offers, their monthly offers to the clients that are coming in, like with scripts and stuff to help them remember. This was a big month about that expression, creative expression, emotional expression. So, it's absolutely a time to take action on your ideas for expressing kind of whatever is in your heart and whatever is like that heart brain connection. And so if you're an entrepreneur, then that's how that usually plays out. So February creation energy is curious, it's experimental, or keep thinking about that apprenticeship energy. It's outcome free. One of the best pieces of advice I was ever given as an entrepreneur was by Andrea J. Lee. She was my very first business coach, I think like 2012. And one of the thinking constructs that she shared was that your business was a big experiment. And, she even walked us through what, like an actual science experiment, like you have an hypothesis and, you go through all those pieces to prove how you're going to prove something. We kind of went back to like grade 10 science, but we applied it to our business. So if we were trying to launch something new, we create this proof process. Anyways, it was a fabulous exercise and thinking construct because it allowed us to let go of the outcomes, to simply look at the idea as a trial that we would create a proof process with it. Because most of the time as entrepreneurs, if you are one, you know what I'm saying. Like you have an idea, and as a small business owner, you get kind of attached to the idea, and sometimes you can't see your blind spots. And so that I wanted to include that as a way to kind of teach yourself how to be creative when you don't feel like you're creative. Look at life, work, relationship with your kids, with your spouse, with a friend as an experiment. Look at it with curiosity and outcome, like have no attachments to the outcome. That's really what we're getting at here when we're talking about outcome free. Because when we think about being an apprentice, the apprentice is usually has got that playful energy along with that creativity. So when we are looking at in cardology, when we're looking at the cards, like the the jack is the apprentice of the card deck, and so and in tarot we kind of look at the pages a little bit like that as well. That kind of playful, youthful, childlike, bold, sometimes kind of cocky, um, and then sometimes humbled. So there's that what that apprenticeship energy looks like when it is creating. But here's the thing, I want you this month, if you can, create for the sake of creating, because this is, again, with the three energy, practice over performance. This is practice over perfection. This is putting what we learned last year into action. So, for those of you that do not consider yourself a creative for Pete's sake, create this month, however it looks like. But when we tap into our emotions, we are able to unlock these new ideas and expand our perspectives. And that's kind of what it's all about, right? All right, I want to dive into just the some of the bullets for the high vibration of three and the low vibration of three, so that you can identify them really easy. So the high vibration of three, brave self-expression, even if it's imperfect, emotional honesty, speaking your truth. That is so hard, especially if you have been keeping it to yourself for a very, very long time. I feel you. It is also a creative experimentation, just trying things for the sake of creating. I have a little story to share with you about an upcoming event that I'm doing. It's curiosity, it's playful experimentation, it's momentum and moving forward. So expect this month to feel like it's quick, especially with that layering over of moving into the Chinese New Year, the year of the horse. It's going to be like a giddy up. Yeah, for sure. Social connection, collaboration, shared ideas. If you are into tarot, think Three of Cups card. That is like the gathering of people together. Joy through action. So again, don't create out of obligation. Don't create just because people are saying, "Oh, you need to create this month." To be energetically aligned, that's not what we're saying. Create from that place that feels good. And interestingly enough, there's another layer to this. I'm not going to get into exactly where I saw it, but there's another fabulous layer to the month of February in that we are practicing new values. We're embodying this new identity and we're embodying it into motion. It's fascinating how things all tie in together. Now, I also wanted to share a little bit about of the that Empress card from with tarot, so of the high vibe, creativity, abundance, that nurturing mama energy, expressing ideas fully, like not being afraid to hold back, growth through self-care and relationships. And so this is where, for me, creativity is self-care. Um, I had a lot of creativity in my business, but I'm now, and all my kids are, I'm an empty nester, so I have more time. And so I've been pouring a lot of energy into my creativity, and it has been so healing for me. It's been wonderful. And the other aspect of the Empress is manifesting joy through authentic living, and that's really what we're going for this year. This is that like new up level, that new agreement that we created for 2026. Um, all right. Let's talk about the three energy to watch out for, that little those blind spots that kick up. And sometimes we're like, what the heck is going on here? Keep this list, and it might just be that we happen just to be in the low vibe of three. So the biggest one that you will see is overwhelm, overthinking, and just stuck in your head, looping thoughts. Now, the easiest way I find, like now that I'm using numerology, like literally on a daily basis, when I know I'm approaching like one energy and three energy, I always, and if things are not working and I'm getting really overwhelmed, I know that it's time to dial it back a little bit. I'll share a little bit more about that in a recent situation I had. Another low vibration of the three is obsessing over the details and perfectionism. A big one, and this was why I supported my small business owners so heavily in a three energy month, is that anxiety about being seen and heard. So, as much as I'm saying this month, say the thing, you will feel anxiety about saying the thing. It's not it's not saying don't say it. It's just it's just new. So you will feel that anxiousness about saying the thing. It's because it's saying like, "Hey, over here, drawing attention. My needs over here." But you need to say the thing. Too many ideas without clarity, then you're just going to feel scattered. Emotional sensitivity and shutting down. So if you find yourself feeling that way, it's okay. Give yourself a break. Activate that nurturing mama energy for yourself. Ask yourself, what do I need that would make me feel super super nurtured right now? Listen and listen. Listen to what yourself is telling you. It will tell you when you practice, you hear it all the time when you ask. So it could be, maybe it's a bath, maybe it's a hot shower, maybe it's a cup of tea, maybe it's to call a friend, maybe it's to go for a walk. Like maybe it's to read a book, maybe it's to pull a card. Maybe it's to do something creative. But emotional sensitivity and shutdown will feel very, very real this month if you are feeling overwhelmed. And if that say it, create it thing is really, really poking at you. Another low vibe is just feeling super impatient with your results, feeling like slow progress. Listen, this manifestation stuff does take time. Like I know there's lots of man about there, like things can like happen instantly with manifestation. Yes, they can, but it also, the human experience just takes time to evolve, learn, process, practice, and then master, right? It takes time. And it also, that low vibration of just feeling kind of inadequate, like, and like you got to get it immediately or you're not going to get it at all. That's not true, but that kind of thinking does tend to show up. So, like I said, what you're likely going to be feeling mostly in your face is overwhelmed and complicated, too many ideas. Now, what I want you to remember is the beauty of that is that that's just simply just the signal that it's too complicated, and it's the signal to simplify. So, at that point, scale back whatever it is you're doing. So I want to share a little situation that is happening. So it's not a situation. So my friend Jess Glover and we started talking about collaborating on an event. Now, Jess owns ArtSoul Studios. She's been a creative in the Sydney area for many, many years. And she has a new business concept that I know it's happening. It's just in the works. And to have a creative space for people to host workshops, for her to host her art workshops. And so, we'd been talking about what's going on with her business, and I suggested that maybe we do a little collaboration. I'm in a two energy year, a two energy personal year. And so I know that the broad strokes of my life, and I can split it up into personal and business, but in terms of the business and the numerology work I do, I can use that as the broad strokes of my marketing strategy or my business strategy. And so, two energy is about connection and collaboration. So I've been talking to people that I admire and think would be a great collab. And Jess thought that was a great idea too to collaborate with her art classes and my numerology readings. And we wanted to put on a Galentine's event in February. Now, the original idea I had, and this is my 10, ruling number 10 energy, where it comes to play and really loves it, ideas, ideas, ideas. And so I pitched the kind of the art that I was hoping that we could do would be one of these really beautiful crystal sun catchers. And I even found a tutorial and said, hey, how about you and me and my sister will run through this. We'll make one for ourselves, and then we'll put together a Galentine's event where we'll do this as the hands-on aspect of the event. And then I will teach a little bit of numerology. And so I think this was the beginning of January, I started talking about it. And I went through and priced out the stock list, what we'd need. And it was kind of expensive. It was going to be like $70 a person just for the items, the stock to use, the inventory, all the beads and things. And that's not even on top of our time and that, and I was like, oh man, like, and plus the project was going to take longer than a couple of hours. So this was turning into kind of like, is this going to be a full day event? Like, that's cool. But like for our first event, I don't know, it feels like a bit. Anyways, I just kind of stalled out and felt like, kind of frozen. I didn't really know what to do. Um, and then it just kind of dawned on me, was kind of just before February. I'm like, wait a minute, we need to scale this back and make this way less complicated. That's why we're stalled out on planning this, is because it just needs to simplify. So we quickly connected just even by text and had a little pivot on it. And it's now it's rolling. Invitations, I think she's sending out invitations today. I will post the that link to the event here on the podcast if anybody is local and wants to join us. It's a Galentine's event, and she's going to be teaching how to create a stained glass effect on it's a stone, but it's like a heart-shaped stone, and it's a beautiful little heart-shaped stained glass painted effect. So she's going to be teaching that, and I'll be doing the numerology, and that's going to be on Sunday, February 22nd, 2026. So not sure exactly the time. I believe it's going to be the early afternoon, but all that information is to come. But again, like that, all of that is just like a little example of how a great idea can easily like spiral out, feel like it stalls out, and then get back on track again when it is simplified. So simplification means speed. Um, and you can just kind of get to where you want to go with your idea a lot quicker. So February's core practices, if you kind of want to distill it right down, it's about practicing your new values that you learned all the last 9 years and using them in real life, especially when it comes to self-expression, relationships, and your creative choices. In that kind of in this season of, being an apprentice, this three energy is like rehearsal energy, it's collaboration, sorry, not collaboration, it's calibration energy, and it's not a results month. It's about expressing now for what's going to shape and stabilize you later. Now keep in mind, next month, March, is a four energy month. Four energy is about stabilizing. So this is another example about how these manifestation cycles work, how we can work them when we are aware of them, and how we can be aware and intentional about our actions so that they literally build upon each other and we're not just kind of like trying to wing it essentially in life. So if February feels a little awkward, that's okay. It's not just you, it's going to be everybody, I guarantee you. And it's because we're all practicing something new, both in that say it and in the create it categories. So, just let that apprentice energy of curiosity help you find this new aligned you and a new aligned way of moving forward. So if you have been struggling with your own personal timing in terms of like figuring out like what the heck is for you, like what's ahead for you, what are your themes of 2026, your own personal themes, then I invite you to book a path and timing forecast because honestly, it will give you a lot of peace about how your energetic code wants to express itself this year so that you can kind of just relax into it while you're being intentional and taking action on things in your life. All right, that's it for me. Thanks for joining me here on the Living by Numbers podcast. I will see you next month for Four Energy. It's all about structure, stability, and systems. I can't wait to talk about that too.